If you're looking for an outdoor adventure or just a cheap getaway, this is your lucky weekend because the U.S. National Park Service has declared today and tomorrow fee-free days. And that means you're not going to have to pay up to the $25 normally charged for admission. Here with me now is the president of Earthwise Productions, Audrey Peterman. And Audrey's also the co-author of Legacy on the Land, a black couple discovers our national inheritance and tells why every American should care, of which I was just given a copy, which I'll cherish. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So Audrey, as we get to this story, it's the first time that the national parks have been free all summer. What do you think was the incentive by this? What's the promotion behind it?
Well, you know, the national parks are actually our greatest natural treasures, and they're enjoyed by so many people from all over the world. But increasingly, Americans have kind of detached from them as, you know, we get more and more homebound and more connected with electronic equipment. So I believe this is part of the Obama administration's focus on reconnecting Americans with the great outdoor spaces that we own collectively.
And, you know, I should say to people that we were comparing notes about how much we both love Yosemite. You just got back from there. It is, I think, my favorite national park. It is absolutely gorgeous. And what is it about these parks that people may not get yet?
I think a lot of people do not actually know about the existence of the national park system. In fact, when Frank and I, my husband and I, discovered the national parks in 1995, we actually had no idea that they existed. We were actually on a round the country trip. Yes, just to get to know some of the great places like the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, and Yosemite. But it was not actually until we got to Yosemite and kept seeing the signs, Yosemite National Park, Acadia National Park, that we realized that this was part of a system that is nationwide. There are actually 394 units of the national park system spread out all across the country. So wherever you live, there's one close to you.
What needs to be done to keep them from diminishing, both in terms of people going there and the financial resources being afforded to them? What do you think people need to know, need to do about that?
I think people just need to go to the national parks. First of all, they need to know that they exist, and then to take your first visit to one. When I visited my first national park, it was actually Acadia, where the first family were just very recently. And I felt at that point like someone who had lived in a mansion my entire life and had until that time only seen the kitchen. And you know, the kitchen is serviceable, but then I felt like I'd somehow accidentally wandered into the grand living room. And you know, the living room is artistic and beauty. And when I saw that great expanse of nature and beauty, I was totally transformed. I became a passionate environmentalist for life, and it became my mission to share these beautiful places with everyone, and that's why we wrote the book.
What about what people can do to help keep these national parks healthy?
Yes, well, we need to be talking to our elected officials and congressional representatives, because especially in such a tight money time, you know, the resources that go to the national parks tend to be less and less.
Yes, of course.
And yet, although there's such vast ecosystems, they do need people to manage them. For example, did you know that Yellowstone is like 10 times the size of New York City?
No.
10 times. So it needs everything from like the mayor down to the person who cleans up or maintains the place.
Yeah.
So that means that there has to be a certain amount of funding allocated for that. However, once you've seen these beautiful places, you don't begrudge a cent that is expended to keep this intact for us and for future generations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they do put an indelible imprint on your life, as it did with you, with that national park, your first visit, and look what you've done. Gone and written this book, Legacy on the Land. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time so much, Audrey Peterman.
Bless you. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate you.
Well, that wraps up our live MSNBC